Olivia Energy Solutions recently joined the OVK group, and we are visiting them at their head office in Bloemfontein to find out more about the services and products that they offer. I'm Chantel Newton, and I'm chatting to Philip Olivier, the Managing Director, and Gabriella Menezes, Marketing Manager of Olivia Energy Solutions. Philip, your company specializes in renewable energy. Can you give us a background of your company?
Yes, our business started in 2009, and over the years we have kind of evolved with the industry. In those beginning years, solar power didn't really make financial sense yet, so we supplied mostly products like solar pumps and solar water heating equipment. And then as time went on, Eskom tariffs increased quite dramatically, and there was a need for grid-tied solar systems. So around 2014, 2015, that's what we supplied mostly. And then in recent years, as the national grid became so unreliable, and also as the cost of lithium batteries came down, there was a demand for battery systems, and that is currently our core business, is off-grid battery systems.
Gabriella, what type of installations do you specialize in, and who would be your typical clients?
Chantal, we specialize in solar energy solutions, and we service the domestic, agricultural and commercial sectors, irrespective of how big or small.
Part of the service you provide is to do a complete energy analysis for the client. In short, what does this entail?
Yes, the energy analysis has two aspects, and the first one being a site visit that's normally done by one of our approved contractors, and he will go and look at things like the roof of the client, the DB board, what type of equipment is being used there and so forth. And also he installs a logger that measures the energy consumption of the client over time. And then the second aspect is just communication with the client to find out exactly what is his objective for doing solar power. Is it to generate a saving? Is it maybe just to get through load shedding? Or is it to be completely off-grid? And based on that information, we then do a complete detailed energy analysis for the client.
Solar panels can't be installed on any surface. What are the requirements for a roof, for instance, to carry the weight of the panels, and what are the requirements of the room to accommodate the control board, batteries and other equipment?
Yes, well, the roof needs to be strong enough to carry the additional weight of the panels. Normally it's not a problem since the typical weight of a solar panel plus the roof structures is normally less than 20 kilograms per square meter, and also keeping in mind that it's spread out over a fairly large area. And then the room needs to be as clean and cool as possible, well ventilated. It's definitely not ideal if you have a very hot room and dusty. And another thing to keep in mind from a cost perspective, it would be beneficial to have the inverter and battery and other equipment as close as possible to the DB board.
Gabriella, when is Eskom and municipal approvals needed for solar installations?
Chantal, approvals are always needed if a client is going to stay connected to the Eskom or municipal network. The only instance where approval is not needed is if a client goes completely off-grid.
Philip, this is a typical installation board that you are preparing for installation at a client. Tell us more on the function of each component and how it fits into the energy needs of the client.
Yes, as you say, this is a typical system that is being built for a farm, and the main components are basically the following. Firstly, the solar panels or the PV panels. The amount of solar panels is determined by the amount of energy that the client needs on a daily basis, and then that energy is fed through the DC charge controller or the MPPT. So the more panels you have, the bigger capacity of charge controllers do you need, and then it goes to the battery bank. And the size of the battery bank is determined by the amount of energy that the client needs when the sun is not shining, in other words, during the night. And then the inverters, in this case 3 times 10 kVA inverters makes up a 30 kVA 3-phase system. So the size of the inverters are determined by the amount of energy, or the amount of power, the maximum power that the client needs at any given time. And then the balance of the system is a variety of circuit breakers, protection equipment, communication equipment. And once all of this is integrated and assembled and tested, the system is then ready to go out to the farm for installation.
The saving and storing of generated energy are an integral part of the solar system. You are using lithium iron phosphate batteries. Is this the best technology currently on the market?
Yes, I think the lithium iron phosphate or LiFePO4 batteries are being used mostly in the industry today. Here is a typical high voltage battery bank that are being tested here now before it goes out to site. So you'll see on the specifications of a battery bank like this how much energy it can store, as well as how that amount of energy diminishes over time. What you will also see is the cycles of charge and discharge that you can expect from the battery bank over its lifetime.
When the needs analysis of the client is complete and the type and size of the system has been decided upon, what are the typical steps that follow in order to complete the installation?
Okay, so after the system has been designed by Edouard, our electrical engineer, and the quote has been accepted by the client, then the client needs to either send us a proof of payment for the deposit, confirming that he accepts the quote, or if the system is going to be financed by one of the banks, we need confirmation from the bank that the finance has been approved. Or the third possibility could be that the client does his financing through OVK and he buys the system through his local branch. In that case, we would need the order from the branch for the system. So after we've received that, we proceed to build and test the system here, and once that's done, it is ready to go out to the site. So then we start to make arrangements with the installer of the system for installation. So how long does it take? It depends on a few variables. It can be anything from 2 weeks for smaller type of standard systems to a few months for the larger high voltage system. Also depending a bit on the program of the installer, the schedule of the installer who needs to do the installation in that area.
Philip, what is your long-term vision as a supplier of renewable energy?
Well, firstly, I think that the private sector will look after itself. So as Eskom tariffs increase and the grid is not so stable anymore, I believe that more and more people will start to generate their own electricity by means of solar powers, and that is for households, for businesses, for farms. And that is the vision for us, to be part of the energy solution in this country by supplying solar power.
Gabriella, you believe that the energy crisis in South Africa can only be solved by the private sector. How do you see your role?
Chantel, I definitely believe that we are part of the solution, and I think it's very important for us to educate South Africans about the future for South Africa when it comes to renewable energy and how important that is for the next generation.
The ever-increasing load shedding and uncertainty around the future of energy supply has become part of our lives. The management thereof is now critical for the sustainability of business and households. We trust this video answered some of your questions regarding solar installations and how it can be designed to your specific needs. Contact Olivia Energy Solutions for your energy peace of mind.